but I want to show you this headline. Can we put this up? We saw this over the weekend. Oh my gosh. Look at this. Read Todd Bensman's utterly surreal tale of cynical Joe's bizarre battle to save river mussels in the open sewer that is the Rio Grande's illegal immigrant crossroads, and ask, have you ever heard of such stinking hypocrisy? Folks, I mean, this is insane. This is an insane story where, in essence, Biden wants to save the river mussel. Oh, but guess what? That mussel just happens to be in a place that Greg Abbott has put that floating barrier in the Rio Grande. And of course, this all involves the Endangered Species Act. Let's get more on all of this from Todd Bensman, who is a senior national security fellow at the Center for Immigration Studies. Todd, good to have you here on the show.
Good to be here. Thank you.
Todd, I give up. He wants to save the river mussel. Go ahead, have at it. Listen, I got to be home soon. So just, I've got about 25, 30 minutes. No, I don't. I really have just a few. But go ahead. Tell us what's going on, because this is insane.
All of a sudden, the Biden administration, after 30 months straight of the most environmentally damaging mass migration crisis in American history, is interested in saving a river mussel species called the Mexican farnsfoot. And it just so happens that they're trying to extend protection, EPA or environmental protection to this mussel right at Eagle Pass, which is where the Governor Abbott administration has placed the first 1,000 feet of a river barrier, of a floating marine barrier, that they are suing also separately to defeat. They hate this marine barrier mainly because it works. People can't get over it or under it. It's got netting and all the rest of this. And so there is a full-scale fight going on to force Abbott to remove that barrier because it works. So they're doing this ploy to save the mussel there, which might force the Abbott administration, if all else fails, to remove the marine barrier. But all I want to do is point out, from all of my time down there on the river, how much trash, garbage, human waste has been going into that river for 30 months straight. Mussels die from dirty water, not from floats on the top of the river, I point out. And that water has never been dirtier than it is right now, and clogged up with this hyacinths, this kind of water plant that clogs up the river and robs everything below it of oxygen. Nothing is killing mussels more than this mass migration crisis, is what I just want to point out. And also the hypocrisy of environmental groups. Where are they? Where have they been all the way up until now? They are in favor of mass migration. That's where they've been.
Well, I was going to ask you about the hypocrisy, but we can talk forever about that, because it's insanely ridiculous that the environmental left just, in essence, looks the other way and cherry picks their environmental favorites, in this case, the river mussel. Let me ask you a little bit about where this goes from here, because the Center for the Endangered Species Act will, in essence, try to potentially hamper or restrict Governor Abbott from doing what he's doing in the Rio Grande? I mean, how do you see this playing out legally? I would think that this is going to be a point of contention in the courts moving forward.
Right. Well, 30 years ago, environmentalists pressed for a regulation that would just require that we study the impacts on this mussel there. But nobody's cared enough to actually do anything until on July 24th, the administration proposed a regulation. It'll have to go through a period of public comment. This could take several months, and then it'll go into effect, and it will extend protection to the mussel there. And then the question becomes, we have to do an environmental impact study. It'll just delay the further extension of the marine barrier or anything in the river. Any kind of construction of anything in the river would have to. Now, I can't imagine at the end of that anybody could conclude that floats on top of the river would somehow hurt the mussels that live in the mud down below. But it just is a delaying kind of tactic that's going on. And I think it's obvious. It's a cynical ploy. Nobody cares about this, and this administration certainly does not care about the environment, the water, the marine environment down there. It is a filthy sewer. It really is. And there are thousands of migrants encamped on the Mexican side who just toss their garbage right into the water, that just stamp and crush their way by the millions across right through the mud. I point out in the story that if probably what's happening is that they're crushing these Muslims out of it, or these mussels out of existence, by just their traffic, their foot traffic over there. The marine barrier actually deters foot traffic. Nobody wants to cross where there's a marine barrier. They're going around it at the moment. So whatever mussels are living in the proximity of the marine barrier are probably pretty safe and sound. I say if you want to protect the mussels, build a lot more marine barrier.
Todd Bensman, really appreciate your time, and thanks for bringing light to this story. It's something that the Rachel Maddows and the Don Lemons of the world are not going to cover, so I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.